Dude, you know that's skim milk, right?
Oh shit!
I'm gonna take this link into outer space.
Love is quantifiable. Matthew McConaughey, ladies and gentlemen. That was so out of sync and harmony.
It was.
Yes. We've just seen
Interstellar.
Yes.
The sci-fi epic from none other than Christopher Nolan. And I guess we can get this out of the way. I could admit that I'm a Nolanite of sorts, not too extreme. What about you?
I've seen the Dark Knight trilogy and Interstellar. I haven't seen Memento or The Prestige or any of the other critically acclaimed movies that he's put out, but I really want to because they seem really interesting. And
I'm not. His movies don't make me cry. They're stupid.
Alright. So, if you want to dismiss us because we like Nolan, I guess.
No, seriously though, I'm not a Nolan fanboy. Okay, I want to point that out because his movies lack heart for me. But this movie changed that.
Yeah.
Had lots of emotion, and I hated it. Space looked fake. I loved it. I think we all loved this movie.
Yes,
if
definitely.
any of you are tired of hearing the critics like, that wave wouldn't be that big since the water was only 3 feet high, so this movie sucks.
Science, blah, 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 blah.
No. Focus on little logical inconsistencies, and they don't see this big, ambitious, beautiful project.
They don't see
space.
the big picture.
Science. It's a movie. It's meant for Stop with my hands. It's a movie. It's meant for imagination. Okay, that's
imagination.
Just because science is like an extremely important part of this movie doesn't mean it's going to be entirely perfect. Nolan himself said, "We know where we took the liberties in this movie, and it's because it's a movie."
Yep, you know what this, you've heard a lot about this movie being very ambitious, and it is, and you gotta respect it for that. Most people don't respect it for that. I mean, they do, I think everyone respects it for, like, being ambitious, but I don't think anyone respects it for the risks it took.
Yeah, I mean,
I think.
Obviously, any movie this big is gonna have, inconsistencies, plot holes. None of it is detrimental, and that's what some people, their reaction made it seem like there's a detrimental plot hole. This movie cannot make sense because of problems in it. But all movies have that. I just feel like Nolan, people are stricter on him as far as... I mean, this movie's definitely flawed. It's not perfect, but that doesn't mean you have to react differently to it just because it has some problems. And then they hate on it entirely just because of those problems. And
preach on it.
Yeah.
If Star Wars came out today, would you hate it? Because of that big hole that goes right down to the reactor. Spoiler alert, you would. You would, okay?
Hey,
right.
Hey, now you can't.
Movies aren't getting worse.
Alright.
Critics are getting harder.
That was kind of a rant. We should probably start the review.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Alright, so let's start. List. What do we like?
So let's start with basic plot. By now you should know it, but basically Earth is ravaged by a blight. Crops are being destroyed. There's no room for engineering anymore. There's no room for science.
Yeah.
Is corn the only food?
Is the crop. It's the last one that survives. And fun fact, Nolan actually planted hundreds of acres of corn just for the movie. And
He
then
did?
the corn that wasn't destroyed in the making, they sold for a profit.
Dedication.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, that's Nolan for his
That's
folks.
beautiful.
Yeah.
See, good stuff comes out of practical effects other than the movie actually looking nice for once. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the big thing for me because I want to be a director when I grow up. The big thing for me with this movie was the cinematography. Like, I wanted to go and seeing, like, a ship flying and it looks how, like, say, Star Wars looked. How it looks like a practical set on effects. Great effects. Like, I love how, movies like this, they have a bunch of special effects, but they look fantastic, as opposed to Transformers, which also uses, like, ILM and, like, all the same effects, but they somehow end up looking fake as crap.
Yeah, another
I like
thing,
how that works.
Technically, that's good about the movie, and a lot of people were complaining about is sound, not just the soundtrack, which is, I love the soundtrack.
Like dialogue, you mean?
And, yeah, dialogue and sound effects, and what they don't realize is how Nolan is using sound as a part of the movie. It's like it's not just sound. It's at some points you're not necessarily supposed to hear that dialogue. It's just all it comes together in this culmination of raw emotion that you're supposed to feel. That power, like the theater shaking. I saw it in fake IMAX at our local theaters, GTX.
I didn't.
The sound was great, but you feel it shaking, the theater's shaking when the rock's taking off, and it is ridiculously loud, and some people will probably have a problem with that.
At least it's not like that kind of Michael Bay-ish loud. Like it's not like
Yeah, and just there's parts where you can't hear the dialogue, but really that dialogue wasn't what you're supposed to be hearing. And it's just a poem, and I like the poem.
Yeah, those scenes with the where there's a lot of complaining going on around the internet where it's like complaining to the theater that there's sound problems. I couldn't hear the dialogue in a few places. Nope, I got them. There were, but I understood it. Like there was some scenes where Jessica Chastain's character, I remember running out of a house, telling her brother something. I think that was a scene that stuck out where I could barely hear it, but it worked somehow. Like I could tell what Nolan was going for because something about the way she was saying her dialogue was the dialogue sounded a bit generic.
It's almost like there's supposed to be a confusion.
Yeah, but you know what she's saying, you understand the emotion. So it's kind of almost like a montage, like you get what's happening in that scene. So that's what's going on. You don't need to hear it. Here's some more music because the score's awesome-ish. Mm-hmm. Album's not good, score's good.
Yeah, the way they set up the CD is stupid, but whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where's the docking music?
Yeah. Money.
And Day One Dark.
Yeah. Alright, so another thing that we can talk about is just the science in this movie. I was watching stuff like the Cosmos, reading up on some astrophysics stuff, talking to people that I know stuff about astrophysics, just in preparation for it. And in general, I love the way this movie used stuff like relativity, wormholes, black holes, which their representation of a black hole, based on what Kip Thorne, a renowned astrophysicist, it was based off his findings, and they made the most accurate black hole to date, and that's cool. And then actually, stuff they found out in this movie contributes to the real scientific community. That's cool. Obviously, it's still a sci-fi movie, and that was a lot of people were shocked. They were like, "What's wrong with the ending? It's not perfectly scientifical. It takes its own. It departs from realistic, but I still love the way the whole last act was." Yeah. We're not going to spoil anything.
It wrapped up pretty good.
Is this Big Hero 6 review? You can say stuff,
But actually, you guys are taking all this spotlight.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it again. Because when you said relativity, I just want to point out, there were... If you've seen The Matrix, okay... I haven't. Have you?
Yes.
Okay, so didn't you say that there were a few fight scenes in The Matrix that felt forced?
They were still. I would say that.
Yeah,
they wanted to show off bullet time. I would say.
Yeah, but they were still. But they worked because they were really cool and unique, and you wanted to see them. Yeah, Interstellar had a few scenes like that, like the relativity scene. I won't spoil it, but this is just hey, this is what relativity's like. It's cool. It's a big part of the movie, and it was one of the most emotional parts of the movie to me. It was really good, but it was just a pit stop. They just went down to that planet and now they're back, and it's just it felt forced. But I didn't mind, I probably wouldn't mind the fight scenes in The Matrix, though, because it worked. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had something else to say, but come back to me. I had something else to say. When I say come back to me, that means say something.
Anyway.
There's so many moments in my life I do that, and people are don't they still wait for me to say something.
We can talk about the characters in this, and the acting in relation to the characters. The acting was phenomenal. Everybody was great, especially Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. And the little girl
who played Murphy. Yeah. I don't normally like little girls
in
movies, but that was such a good relationship.
Normally in a sci-fi movie where people are traveling.
Good. It got me. I close all those scenes, especially right before he left, in the rocket, really got me. The music and stuff.
That
was awesome. Yes.
Yeah, normally in a sci-fi movie that takes place in space and on fake planets where there's a little kid, you're like, oh no, I want to sterilize the human race for that little kid. I hate that little kid. No, she was good. All the acting was amazing. Mm-hmm. Any Oscar-worthy performances? Probably not, but still. Why was I holding that chair? I don't know.
And also that one part, where he...
The dude?
Should I spoil the part where he sees his...
No spoilers.
No
spoilers. But yes, there's definitely some parts that are really hit you hard, and it's close to tears. I didn't cry. I'm aware that other people cried, though, in that part.
I was close.
I teared up a few times.
It didn't quite.
I'll tell you what though, there were a few scenes where I did tear up, but the main one that made me tear up was way towards the end. One of the things that the movie did I will never talk about in a movie that isn't spoiler filled. But the reason it made me tear up wasn't because of the story or what was going on with the characters or anything. It was literally just at the fact that I was watching a movie that just did something like that ambitious, and just that like completely out of the ordinary and so weird and taking so many risks. Yeah, it did have the balls of steel because so many people hate it.
And
now.
that thing that you're talking about is an object of, or it's a part of the movie that a lot of people don't like. That was a lot of people have the biggest gripe with that part, and it did split audiences, I guess. But I personally love that part. It was like, it was out there. It was crazy.
It was inspired. It was very. It was how a movie should be.
Nolan using his imagination.
Yeah, this movie shouldn't be as unique as it is, because this is what movies are supposed to be. That's what I was thinking when I came out of the movie. That's what a movie should be. And just perfect effects, great acting, well directed, and it does that. It takes risks.
I mean, like me and Ben, like when we first got out of the theater, we were like amazed, and we had to go to Publix, and we were like
There's parts where I was like,
and we were like talking about it throughout, and we were like, it smells so awesome.
Yeah, it really.
And I mean, also with the ending, is not usual. Nolan, it's not quite as ambiguous as I thought it would be, and maybe not as ambiguous as I would like it to have been. But I still liked it, and there's still this movie, and all Nolan movies really, they make you, no matter if you hate them or love them, they do succeed in the fact that they make you discuss the movie. They make you think. You do more with the movie than just see it, and you're like, all right, this movie, I've got it. There's discussion. There's like, everybody's got their own interpretation of certain things. There's like paradoxes that are in play based on how you might interpret it. There's all kinds of cool things with space and time and science that I just loved. And several days after I finished or I saw the movie, I was like feverishly looking up different things on the internet about like different theories and all kinds of different cool things.
I didn't look up anything.
You can interpret the movie as, and that's one of the reasons I love Nolan. It's his intelligence and his smartness. Even if the movie wasn't perfectly executed, it still had that intelligence about it.
Some people said it was like pretentious, like it was pretending to be smart when it really wasn't. And I was like, no, it really was smart. It really did have the science behind it. It wasn't trying to be overblown, just to impress people. It was genuine. It was the real McCoy.
Yeah, this movie has so much science behind it, and then it gets it wrong in one scene maybe, and you're like, this movie's so stupid. It's so unintelligent. It was put together in 5 minutes. Oh, and I remember what I was going to say earlier. I didn't have any background information or any information in general about anything involving anything in space or time or wormholes or anything at all in the history of anything ever involving space. Yeah. And I could follow this movie just fine. All you stupid critics out there, I couldn't follow it at all, and there are a lot. I followed it just fine. You're stupid, all you people.
Me too.
You really are. What are you complaining about?
I have not taken a physics course in my entire life.
Can you not follow this amazing story? What were they talking about when they couldn't follow it? I'm not just being over the top and yelling in this review. I'm seriously. I have hurt my brain trying to figure out why they didn't get it. Why didn't they get it?
And maybe they have to follow every little detail. Why did he do this? Why did he move this thing there? Why did he move it 1 centimeter to the right?
Yeah, little nitpicky things. And one comparison that's often drawn is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't think any of us have seen that, but there's one comparison that I drew, and that was Gravity, or this movie in relation to Gravity. Gravity for me was this little present with a perfectly wrapped wrapping paper. It's simple, but it's effective and it gets the job done. It's a little neat present. And then Interstellar is this big, original, out there present with wrapping paper that's not. It's dinked up, it's not perfect, it's got some tears in it that's plot holes, things that don't quite make sense, it's not necessarily perfectly executed, and it's not perfect, obviously, but it's there, and all those ideas, it's just, it's a spectacle to behold, and you have to, even if you don't like it, you gotta
and when you
respect
open up
that.
The wrapping paper, and you see what's inside, it's everything you wanted, and more.
Yeah, it's not like that present that's like a bicycle and it's wrapped perfectly in the shape of a bicycle. You don't. It's you see it 7 days.
You don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, there's no way I can tell.
And some people won't like it for that reason, and oh well.
Yeah, this movie, I guess,
It's unfortunate.
at the beginning of this video I said I'm not like a Nolan fanboy, and that's because like his movies don't have a lot of heart. That said, when the reviews started to come out for this movie, I saw the 73 or whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes or some bullcrap.
I was worried.
Yeah, I was, but at the same time I was kind of like, well, what did I expect? But the reason for that was because I thought it was going to be too serious for its own good, like Man of that. I don't like this. Why do I have this shirt? Anyway, I like this shirt. I don't even like why do I have this shirt? I don't even like Superman.
It's cool.
Anyway.
But anyway, so what was I saying? I thought this movie was going to be too dark for its own good, that it wouldn't have much like emotion. There were so many scenes in this movie that just hit me so perfectly. Like, I fake emotion sometimes when I'm watching movies. Like, I try to get involved as much as I can because I'm in a movie. I'm not trying to be a critic. I'm trying to enjoy myself. I like to get into movies as best I can. I didn't have to try too hard with Interstellar. I just got into it. And there were just a bunch of scenes that just, like, I was into it and I was actually tearing up. Not just at the end where I was like, oh, this is so ambitious and I'm crying. No, there were actual scenes with the actual characters, things happening to them, that I actually got really emotional about. It hit me perfectly.
And I'm sure some of you have heard of him, but there's going to be at least one character in this movie that's going to come as a surprise. But I loved him.
That
provides some humor.
I mean, wait.
We're talking about the same person, right?
The character or the robot?
Yeah, the robot.
You're talking about the robot?
Yeah, Tars. Let's just say Tars.
That's not a spoiler. You've heard a lot about that.
Yeah.
The robot in
He's
the movie is
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
And he's practical.
Oh, yeah,
he's not like
the robot is the comic.
He's not some kind of weird humanoid thing. He's like he's a robot and he has a job.
I remember.
And he provides some
like
witty comic
weird,
relief.
like,
That's not too it's not too like
Yeah, it's like a Rubik's Cube.
it fits.
Yeah, he was really cool.
And it's like a quadrilateral that bends at one point and then bends and then bends and it does its job.
Yeah, I remember when I saw like either the second or third trailer of this movie a long time ago, and you didn't hear anything about a robot, and I just saw the scene where they're walking over that like icy mountain, and I saw this thing like walking. I can't even describe my reaction. I was like, what is that?
Yes.
Yeah, but that robot was so cool, and there were a few of them actually, like Tars, you got
Case.
Yeah. Case, one other one, I don't know.
Kip,
yeah.
based on Kip.
Yeah,
Thorne.
and the one the dude I thought you were talking about was the cameo-ish. That's not a cameo, but it's at in the middle of the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a big actor that
actor.
plays a character, and they got to decide which planet they're going to go to, which person is on it, and if you knew who this actor was in the movie, you would know who he was playing, and if you knew who he was playing, you know where they would go. That's why they kept it a secret. And to be honest, I get that, but the fact that he's a big actor and I'm very familiar with him, it kind of took me out of it when I saw him.
I didn't particularly like his character, but I recognized he was a good part of the story, and he had a few good points. I guess his character made a few good, interesting points that contributed to the story on the whole. I think.
I just thought if he were played by a smaller actor, I thought it would have made.
It would have been better. Definitely.
Yeah, I like the actor though. I really respect him.
And also, we're talking about planets. All of them are like really cool. They're all unique, and everything about space is that this movie visually and it just made it a reality. It looked good.
Yeah, it felt real. That's a big compliment about this movie. Is it felt real. It feels possible. I think that's what Nolan was going for. Was inspiring people to do stuff like this or want to do stuff like this.
That's pioneer.
Just want to do stuff like this, not actually do it.
That was one of the main reasons he made it. It was like to keep that pioneering thing alive. And it's almost the same with film. Like he wants people to do different things. It might not be perfect. It might not be what everybody likes, but you need to take risks. You need to be I just
thought about something.
Your own
Innovation.
story.
He obviously didn't want to make this movie for money, but I just thought about that. He is the star of his own movie now when you see his name.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was actually taking risks or if he kind of knew it was going to make a lot of money.
I mean, it's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
After The Dark Knight,
I think his
movies will make money.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing, though. That's one of the reasons why I really like him. Not so much I love his filming style, don't get me wrong, obviously, but another one of the main things I like about him is he is the star of his own movie, which means he can do what he wants, really.
He's one of the few
and he's not one of those directors yet, I hope, or at least he's not one of those directors that'll, maybe like George Lucas, who had a lot of people to criticize him about Star Wars, and that's how it became what it was. But then he didn't have those people to challenge him from the prequels, and as a result, it just ended up like this mess. Nolan is like George Lucas now, except without not a lot of people questioning him. He's on his own initiative. That said, he's much better at it, and I think he's got a future. He's got a future. Yeah.
He's going places.
Yeah, I keep looking up every day. Christopher Nolan, next movie. I just want to know. What's he going to do next? I had an idea for what he's going to do next, but I forgot. It was a good idea, though.
James Bond.
No, well, I hope so, but
Yeah.
All right, should we go ratings on this?
Yeah.
yeah.
We're
Who wants to
running
start?
on 19
Brandon, you
minutes.
can start.
You can begin.
Okay. So for my theoretical rating, I will give this movie a 9.5 because I really enjoyed it. I didn't really find a whole lot of things wrong with it, although like there were like a couple like things you could nitpick, but but since I can't really think of them right now, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 for theoretical, and for my personal, I would give it a 10 because I absolutely enjoyed this movie. There was no dull moment. Everything that you would think would be boring was greatly implemented. You know, the actors, the writing, the cinematography, the directing, of course, was all superb. Everything you would expect from a Nolan movie ever since The Dark Knight, and even more. So yeah, I greatly enjoyed this movie. So what about you guys?
Theoretical, I'm gonna go with a 9, and I hate to go that low for a Nolan movie, but I mean, let's be honest, it was flawed, it wasn't perfect, and it wasn't as technically good as, you know, say The Dark Knight, but it's got that ambition and that, you know, that just central, you know, intelligence about it that really helps that score. And personal, I have no problem giving it a 10 because this is my favorite movie of the year. I loved it. I'm a Nolan fanboy. Who cares? I love this movie. I love the space, the science of it. The characters were all great, especially the Murph and Cooper, and their relationship was great. I love the music, even if the record label didn't necessarily organize the soundtrack in a good way. The directing, the cinematography, superb, obviously, and I just love the whole story. There's, you know, interesting twist, and it's going to be something that I can talk about for a long time, and that's one thing I love about Nolan's movies.
I give it a 3. Space looks fake. No, I'm just kidding. No, I give it the same ratings. I'm not just copying you. That was my original thing. 9 out of 10. Should I go 9.2? No, I'll just go 9 out of 10 for theoretical because love is the one thing that transcends time and space.
And gravity.
It's
Well,
quantifiable, guys.
gravity and love transcend space and time because the force of gravity can, the fabric of time and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Forward.
No, I really like that part of it, and I figured...
I did.
Yeah,
It's cliche a little bit, but who cares?
Yeah, and Anne Hathaway delivered that line
It
pretty
means
good,
well.
because in the other hands it would have... I don't know,
Yeah.
it wasn't as cheesy as I thought it would have. No, not just that reason, it is flawed, obviously. 10 out of 10 for personal, obviously. Obvious reason. I'm not even going to restate everything that he said, because everything he said is pretty much true. Space looked fake, though. But, okay, so I think we can end on that.
Alright.
Do not go gentle into that good night. That's all I have to say.
Rage.
That poem sucks, too. Aim for average. That's a better poem. Aim for average. That's a poem now.